Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom Podcast. It is I, Colton Robertson, and today I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. Today we continue our journey through film, comic book movie edition. And this week brought us to 1984's Supergirl. Tell me, was this a first viewing for you?
Yes, completely new to this.
I as well. Never had I laid eyes upon this film, and this is the first movie where I can say that 100%. You know, it'd been a really long time since I'd seen Superman 3, but I hadn't really watched it, so it was basically a first watch. This is truly a first watch for me. I'd never ever seen Supergirl from 1984. Let me lay the groundwork for the folks. Supergirl was released on November 21st, 1984. It was written by David Odell, and it was directed by Jeannot Swark.
Ooh, okay.
And if you are familiar with the name, you might know him from Jaws 2. He's directed 15 episodes of Grey's Anatomy.
Okay.
He's directed a few episodes of Supernatural. Directed some Smallville back in the day. So a lot of ties that bind. And another tie between Smallville and Supergirl here is that Helen Slater is also in maybe she's not in Smallville. Or yeah, she is. She's Laura L. She plays her mom.
Wow.
In Smallville.
They really have a lot of tie in there.
And then in the CW show Supergirl, much better Supergirl property, I would say. I love the show Supergirl. She plays Eliza Danvers, Supergirl's adopted mother. So I love the connectivity within the DC Superman universe. You know, we had a few of those the last couple weeks with them showing up in Smallville later and stuff. And this one, Helen Slater's impact on Supergirl is recognized in many ways throughout later DC property because, I mean, if we're being 100% honest, she might be the only redeeming element of this movie. I think that the actress for Supergirl, Helen Slater, was solid in comparison to what the rest of the movie had to work with.
Yeah.
Speechless, huh?
Man, I'm trying to think of one character. I mean, okay, yeah, Lucy. Like her friend Lucy was okay. And whoever the photographer was there.
Yeah, we got Jimmy Olsen back, Mark McClure. Jimmy Olsen back in the mix. That's the little tie.
Maybe them
tie
two.
Between this was the first attempt at the cinematic universe. DC was trying to put forth as this.
Dude, true. It was such a weird dynamic. It was like the exact copies of everyone. Like you had Lucy is like just the perfect copy of Lois, and you have Supergirl, the obvious copy of Superman. You have literally Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen's still around.
I don't know, and like I guess why was it bad? Like why was it like supposed to be no, you can't, people can't know that I'm here. You know, how she had to like make everyone blind whenever she was flying around, you know, like why is it just because like if she did exist, she would obviously be there during the movie, so it's like no, like I'm going back to
I think that's part of it. I would also wager the bet that, Supergirl automatically, I think, creates a more obvious tie with Superman and Clark Kent, because she shows up and as Linda Lee, I'm Clark Kent's cousin, and as Supergirl, she is Superman's cousin. I don't know that like I couldn't really. There's a lot of things in this movie I can tell you I don't really know about, because it is.
Oh wait.
Amongst the let's not mince words, worst comic book movies I think I've ever watched.
Is she even Clark's cousin? Like Superman's cousin? Is she like? Yeah, no, Zorro.
Like
yeah, okay. Wait a minute.
She is his cousin.
Okay.
Like that was not a lie.
Right.
But
okay.
No, and that's what's interesting about this movie. This movie is not incredibly comics based, so I didn't have a lot of influences to send you. I pulled up with Superman number 123 because that is Supergirl's first appearance, and in that appearance, she's not even conceptualized as Superman's cousin. She is wished into existence by Jimmy Olsen, because Jimmy Olsen is that big of a fucking simp. Not for Supergirl, but so that Superman can have a companion. He gets a genie. And his first wish is that Superman could have a lady companion who could help him out. I'm sorry. What a dick rider.
Damn, that's to a whole new level. Your first wish. Like, I guess he kind of played it off as like, oh, I know this isn't going to come true, but haha, like I'll just wish for, no, or wait, cause he was later out of the office, he was like, oh, and obviously it didn't come true, whatever, and then and he's like, no, look out the window, it's Supergirl, and like, oh my god. Oh yeah, well that is, so have your first wish.
That was essentially it, and there were comics that establish Kara as Kal-El's cousin, like it wasn't some new thing this movie put forth. There are comic books that do state that, but as far as the characters in this movie, Zolthar, a movie original character, the Omegahedron, a movie original entity. I will say, Argon City is something that is relevant in the comics, but what's interesting about this Argon City is that it is in inner space.
Inner space?
Inner space, not outer space, because whenever, have you not studied sixth dimensional geometry? Earth exists in outer space, we exist in inner space. Whenever she flies through everything, she just comes out of the water on Earth. She just shows up as though she was inside of Earth.
Wow. That's like incredible.
On some microverse shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
she was in the quantum realm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, they knew back then, they just couldn't get that technical with it. That's what they were going for. They just couldn't get that complicated yet, but I see what this movie was going for.
Yes, and Argon City is an entity that existed. It's on the planet Krypton, and it's interesting that they took such a drastic change to what Argon City is. In the comics, it's built as a protective dome. They built a protective dome around Argon City, and it kind of shields it from the cataclysm that it incurs. But here, it just exists in inner space.
What a weird thing to say.
Yeah,
inner
right?
space.
They were like, well, what's the opposite of outer space, man? Inner space, dude. That's like as far as the thought process went there. But I will say, I had fun with this movie. I did have a really fun time watching it. You know, it's one of the first true examples of a movie that I did enjoy watching that is absolutely garbage. That like I cannot confidently tell you that like I was trying so hard to be like, okay, I wanted it so badly to be better than Superman 3. That was something I wanted for this movie. That was something I was trying to project onto it the entire time I was watching it. And I, for the life of me, could not bring myself to that conclusion. And Superman 3 was bad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was trying. I was really trying to like it. Or not like it. I mean, it was fun in some aspects. Like, I
had
literally,
a good time with it.
It caused me to actually go, like, what the fuck? Or, like, wah!
Yeah.
Like, just, like, it jumped in sheer surprise. Like, whenever, the town was on fire, and she needed to put the fire out, she flew through the water tower to get it. Like, I thought she was gonna pick it up or like, but like she couldn't be seen, so like it just wasn't hitting me. But when she flew through it, it was the last possibility that I thought in my mind, and it just shocked. Like there were moments just like that. I can't like the just how things worked. Like oh, power of the shadow, do this. Just because, you know, like it just works.
God,
it's
dude.
just magic.
And that's what really anchors this movie as being terrible is the ending is a special type of bad. Like up to that point, if they do something different with that ending, they do have a chance to make a movie that is enjoyable, and at least it had a decent ending. You know, this is a movie that was like, I was fun for a little bit, and then it was just like, what the fuck? Because
like,
I mean,
usually you can anchor it with some sort of love story, but this love story was so bad. It was like, oh, I'm under a spell to love you, and then Supergirl is, that's the thing, is that like, she is playing a character that is so ignorant to Earth that like, she's just playing the dumb blonde stereotype, but like, through an alien. So it's like, it's obvious that they're like, using the excuse of her being an alien to make her seem like a dumb blonde. And like,
and I will say this movie does make some take some leaps that feel not progressive for the time, commonsensical, but like I don't know, we haven't gotten a moment like this in a movie yet. Like when she arrives on Earth and she sets feet down and she's like, "Where am I?" And those two dudes are like, "Oh, what do you know? Where are we? Lover's Lane, isn't it?" And like they're very clearly trying to sexually assault this woman, and being ignorant, dumbass men. Even after she displays superpowers, they continue to attempt to make this happen. I was like, oh my god! Like, frankly, that probably is it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, just because she absolutely beats their ass. But it was at that point that I was like, oh, maybe this is going to take some swings that I really appreciate, some things that have aged quite well. But then you introduce a character like Selena, who exists solely to, you know, she tries to cast a spell to make a man fall in love with him, or fall in love with her. The man falls in love with Linda Lee, aka Supergirl, and well, now my entire mission is to tear this woman down. I can't have that, you know? I'm going to take over the world while I'm at it, but I must take down this woman.
And the fact that she was so hooked on Ethan. She had the ultimate power that anyone could ask for. And she's like, no, I need this one man. I need this one Tom Cruise looking. I guess with Tom Cruise at this time, he is old, but is he this old to be? No.
He wouldn't be I mean, he'd be a youngin, because he was in Outsiders around this time. Let's check it out. Tom Cruise. I'm interested now. Yeah, Top Gun came out in 86.
Shit, dude. This is just off-brand Tom Cruise.
Yeah, The Outsiders was in 83. Risky Business was in 83. Yeah. All the Right Moves was in 83. And he was playing a young guy. You know, he's playing He's a much
okay.
younger dude at this time, but nevertheless, and like I think Tom Cruise is generous for this guy. The fact that this was the dude that she was like, well, I'm just going to take over the world for this man. Predicated on nothing other than the idea that perhaps she'd enjoy having sex with him.
And then was hooked on that. You like saw that she could literally do anything that she wanted, basically, you know? I mean, I don't know. Did she really know what she was capable of? Or did she just kind of, well, I want this to happen, and I screamed very loudly, and it happened, and then I just kept talking to it, and it worked, you know, like sort of.
I think she lucks into it a couple times, but by the end of the movie, she should.
Oh yeah,
she should fully know what she's capable of, because of the omegahedron, and I also love the omegahedron, man. The fact that the cameras are always angled perfectly, so that they're all able to clearly put a stick between their two middle fingers and then hold it up like this. Might be my favorite practical prop in the history of comic movies. That shit was so fucking funny because they would always like angle towards the camera so that it wouldn't show that. And I absolutely loved it.
And putting it in a lead case, of course. Of course. And it just grows too. It's just growing into this. With tits too. There were tits everywhere.
Tits
in
all
her lair.
Everywhere.
Like, tits everywhere.
And how about the fact that the omegahedron itself, that's not growing at all?
You're right.
It's just the lead case it's in that continues to grow.
It's stuck. I really thought that they weren't going to be able to get it out. I'm like, no way. This is actually a plot of the movie. Like, that it got stuck underneath. Like, what are they going to do?
But you bring up a good point here, because there are a few times in this movie where they just let gags that aren't gags, not intended to be gags, play out for a while.
Yeah.
It just keeps going. Like, I tell you, when that fucking, I don't know, a bulldozer was chasing after that dude, I was like, this scene could have been done 4.5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Like, we just kept going with it.
And the horror sequence of him going through the house or mall, whatever you want to call it, and him like being all woozy and like getting scared, like, and the music being so like just ear rapey, and I'm just sitting through it like, oh my god, get this over with. Like, yeah, it was.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is that there are some highs, there are more lows.
Yeah.
All in all, it's an interesting movie.
Man, I don't. What a villain! And what was that Satan? What was that at the end?
Yeah, that's another thing that helps this movie in being just all right, yeah, y'all really just said fuck it for that, huh?
Like,
because there are a couple parts of this movie that are solid, you know, like the Argon City stuff early on. I mean, like, it was written the way it was written, and it was very exposition-y, trying to explain everything very quickly, very succinctly. We got 20 minutes here. Let's get to the point of the movie. I loved the way the design was laid out. I loved that set for Argon City. I thought that looked great. I actually kind of liked Zoltar's character. You know, I thought he was
cool.
I liked the character. The actor didn't have a lot to work with, even though he's an incredibly talented actor. It was just that, like, he didn't have shit to go on. Peter O'Toole, very, very talented man.
Fuck it. He's my favorite character.
Yeah, you going Zoltar?
Yeah, you gave it to Supergirl, and it's obviously Supergirl. But no, I'm giving it to Zoltar for being because he's always with her, you know?
Yeah. Well, that was what was cool, is that they kind of play the boundary of morality with Zoltar a little bit. Like, you think like, oh, he stole the omegahedron. This dude's a problem, but then he volunteers to go ahead and go to the Phantom Zone. He's like, you know what? That's it for me. I did this. I brought this on. I'm gone, you know? And then later on in the movie, whenever she gets banished to the Phantom Zone via whatever mechanics she's fucking with.
How did Selina know? How did what? How did she what? Like, did she just be like, I just want ultimate evil on this girl. I just want ultimate. How did she? I don't even want to know. I don't want to know because they don't know.
They don't know. They don't know. They didn't bother. They don't know what the fuck they were trying to do. The fact that they took what we formerly knew as the Phantom Zone, just a floating through space and a basically a mirror, and for it to ultimately change into being an actual realm that we can go to. I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and then her mirror is just capable of, I guess, what the heck is this? What's the ohedron? The
Omegahedron.
Omegahedron. What's it powered the city? That's what powered the city, and without it, that's what doomed it. So that's
it was one of two critical elements.
One of two? What was the other one?
I cannot remember what the other one was.
Oh shoot. But without this, the city could not function.
It would not work.
So it is just pure power. Just like pure okay.
Essentially, I guess. They don't attempt to explain it a whole lot. And the Omegahedron does not exist in comic books. There's nothing that like we can priorly go, oh, well, I know what this means because of the comic books. This is the power of no. This is a movie original item that they decided works however the fuck it works.
Did it choose Selina, or could anyone just be like, could walk up to it and be like, hey, yo, do this, and like it would do it? Or
I think if you had the Omegahedron, it will do what you wish. Because, Kara does it when she's back on Argon City. She brings the little bug to life. Or imitates life. I guess. It cannot create life, only imitate it. Little Zoltar being this Obi-Wan Kenobi ass attempt.
No, he's cool.
And that's the thing is that I do like some of the characters. It's just so poorly written. Yeah. Like it is astonishingly bad.
Nigel, that guy sucks.
Fucking Nigel.
The evil wand thing. Nigel is just a man. He's a math teacher that is just also a man, like a Gru, like from Despicable Me, I guess. He just is pure evil on the side.
He's got those vibes.
Collects weird evil artifacts, or he's apparently just a man who knows things, I guess.
He's just a smart guy, I guess. And one thing I did like about this movie, just because, like, I don't know, is that Selina's a witch.
Yeah, and that's just like, did she already have magic before the Omegahedron?
It sounds like cool, because Nigel is like, you'd be nothing without me. Like when I found you, you were reading tarot cards in this fucking now look at you. So like, is she combining elements of science in this Wiccan religion? Because like whenever they introduce us to Selina and her trusty sidekick.
What was her name? Bianca.
Bianca. Yeah, when they introduce us to Selina and Bianca, she's like, it would just be cheaper for us to open our own coven.
Charge $5 admission.
$5 admission. And it's like, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know that that's how covens work.
Yeah, okay, that's true. Yeah, so she just, Yeah, I was trying to I was wondering like how much of it was her witch powers and how much of it was just Omegahedron, and I'm like, did she even have?
I think it was the combination of the two that gave her any sort of power. Like, I think that the spells before she got the Omegahedron would not have gone the way they do after she gets the Omegahedron. You know, like, I have a feeling she was pretty down on her luck as a witch prior to possessing the Omegahedron. She was like, why can't I get these spells right? I don't know. Maybe it's because you paid $5 to become a witch.
Yeah, there's just, it's honestly better not to question a lot of things.
And that's that's something though, because there's something to be said for the fact that we have watched Batman 66 and we have watched Superman 3, where it does become easier to suspend belief because, Batman 66, it did exactly what it was trying to do. Superman 3 tried something, fell a little short. This movie was definitely trying hard. Like, it wanted to be a good movie. And it just really, really wasn't. I don't think that the closest we've gotten so far is Superman 3. But like, even when it came to Superman 3, I was like, at least I have Richard Pryor. At least I have Christopher Reeve.
Did they unironically think the love story, like, with Ethan was good?
I don't know that, yeah, when it came to Kara, yeah, they definitely thought that shit was going to hit.
Oh, no. It was so bad. I was like, this is the dumbest love of all. It's a spell in a girl who literally has no experience whatsoever and is just going to be like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, just like, and I'm like, no, like, I don't know. Like, it was just so lazy. It was like,
it was bad. Like, they
did not care.
Put it. It's just not good. They made the attempt, and I can respect that. But boy, oh boy, was it just a bad fucking movie. And like, that's the thing, is that like, I will stand by what I said at the beginning. Performance wise, I'll give a little credit to Peter O'Toole for Zoltar.
Yeah.
A little bit. The only thing that's good about this movie, and it's not even great, it's just, we're getting there, is Helen Slater as Supergirl. I think she truly does hold her own, but again, the writing of the movie holds her back. Like it holds every fucking person in this movie back, because it's so fucking, like, we've had comic booky shit, obviously, but they tried to, like, I don't even know what they tried. They went full tilt into the comic book thing, and I think part of the problem is that, like, I can typically go, yeah, the visual effects over time have aged poorly. There's something about that last thing where they're climbing out of the tornado that I find worse than the goddamn Christopher Reeve montage in Superman 2 where he, like, breaks apart.
Yeah, no, it's that, like, double vortex red thing, whatever, that Zoltar falls into. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Eesh.
I was just like, oh my goodness. Like, I like to think about,
that's my favorite shot. Zoltar falling in.
There you go. It's gotta be. I think it's the only choice.
Hell,
but
the double, what the heck do you call that thing? He had a name for it. The quantum something. It was, like, I swear, we have to go past the quantum vortex, or I think it might have actually been
vortex.
I think it might have been quantum vortex. I remember hearing the word quantum. I don't know if it was earlier on, like, in the city of Argon, or whether it was at the Phantom Zone there. But fuck it. I'm gonna go with quantum vortex.
Oh, and I talked earlier. Oh, wait, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how is the adaptation score gonna work here? like if this is basically just a kind of movie original, everything,
The only thing we can really base it off is Supergirl's character.
Yeah.
And even that has altered a lot over the years. Because her alternate identity here is Linda Lee.
But we have to, are we comparing it to future Supergirl adaptations as well?
It's Supergirl stuff up to this point.
Okay. But this is like the first of it, it didn't have any, it didn't have anything to adapt from.
Yeah, the only thing that we would really be going off of is the elements that have existed prior. Supergirl, Argon City. And I think that's it.
Wow. Wow.
It'll do aggressively mediocre.
Aggressively
mediocre.
This will be, it'll be interesting to see where this shakes out in total. I have a feeling it's going to be, without a doubt, the worst.
I gotta think
overall. Probably
it's gonna come close. It's gonna come close if it's not, definitely. But where there were things that I didn't like about the movie, there were things I did like. I loved Supergirl's introduction to Earth, like when she touched down for the first time, is like my favorite. Is like my favorite scene in the movie when she went real Snow White.
That was really sick. Yeah.
She learns she can fly. She crushes the rock and stuff. I loved seeing her fly around and stuff. This part has all my favorite things in the movie. My favorite shot comes when she lands by the water and we see like a silhouette of her. And it was at that point I was like, oh, maybe this movie is going to have like a little bit more of an artful touch or something. And then no, that all went out the window very quickly as well. I loved her like waking up in the woods, like next to a rabbit and being like, oh, hi. And then a ball falls near her and they got a league of their own going on over here, with the lady baseball teams. And then she's like, oh shit, you know what? I'll just go to this school, man.
Yeah, what? She knows nothing of Earth, and she takes a look at a few people. She's like, "Yeah, I can fully go to this school. That's my plan." That's my next step.
And I love the way they have like little commentary on like how they teach people in a society where they're a little bit more intelligent versus Earth. And whenever he was like listing the topics, the subject she was going to do, and she's like, all at the same time.
Yeah.
She's like, I learned 6th dimensional geometry, homie. I don't know what the fuck you on. And they hint at her intellect being enhanced because of her powers and stuff. Like, I don't know. I had the toughest time with this back home. Now all of a sudden, I know.
Yeah, the one problem that she just blurted out, like 2,598,000,000, blah, 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 blah.
Everyone starts fucking laughing. I'm like, oh my god. And the 80s ass antagonists in this movie, man. The fucking bullies. Oh my goodness.
The villains and antagonists of this movie: Selena, Nigel, Bianca, Satan, a bulldozer.
2 teenage girls who are trying to scald the skin off of girls in the locker room.
Forgot about that.
That's what I was talking about, bro. Whenever they're in the showers and she like lasers the I love that part. But like the fact that like everything that's portrayed in the 80s or in reference to the 80s, when it comes to high school bullies, they are literal sociopaths. They are willing to murder.
That's actually nuts. Yeah, you're right. That's not like a little prank you just play and you're like, no, that's not laugh it off.
That's hardly bully. Like, you cross a line from bully into psycho when you start doing things like this. Whenever she's like whenever the one who's like got like any sort of sense is like, oh, you should do cold, then they'll be freezing. That makes sense. That's a prank. She's like, nah, I'm gonna do hot. So what if they get 3rd degree burns? That's psychotic. Now you've crossed over. That's not school bullying. And the fact that she's just like, you know what, fuck it. Y'all get the hot water. What's up? I love that shit. They run out of the locker room like, we're gonna get you. They don't show up again in the rest of the movie.
They don't.
That's it.
Yeah, no.
Good for them.
Yep.
They will not be getting them.
I can't even think of my favorite. I'm trying to think of what my favorite scene was in the whole movie, and I don't know. I honestly can't, like, what really happened? I mean, like, Selena gets the Omegahedron. She realizes she has a lot of power. She becomes super powerful, I guess. She grabs a guy and says, "This needs to be my Prince Charming."
Well, don't forget that she erects a giant mountain in the middle of the city for her castle.
Instantly teleports him from kissing her to in a bed chained up. That was another one of the moments where I literally out loud went, "Oh!" Like,
and how can we forget this incredibly emotional and artful moment where, you know, she's carrying him to safety inside of this football themed Rams versus Patriots football carnival ride.
Yep.
Music is swelling, the background is beautiful. That, you know what? I do want to give this movie something. I truly believe the flying in this movie might look better than any of the Superman movies before it.
It was, yeah. It was pretty good.
It felt like they figured that out. They were like, okay, yeah, we got this. You know, like, I thought that looked good.
She's literally lighter, so that probably helped.
That probably does help.
Like, the control, but nah, you're right. They got it down. Like, or, I mean, not down.
Not down.
Like,
you know, like,
it's not like Homelander just floating and going.
It's not Icarus and the Eternals.
That's honestly, I think that one shot of Icarus turning around in the forest and flying is the best shot of flying ever. I have yet to watch flight look that smooth.
Well, that's another thing that's going to be fun about this project is that we will literally get an evolution of flight mechanics in film. Because, I mean, there's flying heroes all over the place. So it'll be fun to come to the conclusions of like, oh, who does have our favorite flight mechanics? Who has our favorite speedster mechanics? You know, like what are those? What's the best of the best here? I think that'll be fun. But so far, I do think Supergirl does have the best flight mechanics. I think that was and you're right, her being literally lighter definitely does help. But nevertheless, I love that first scene where she's like twisting and twirling as she's flying through the air in the woods, and I was like, oh, this is just cute. I like this. This is airy and atmospheric. It's just it's really cute. But there were a couple things in this movie that have aged just dog shittily.
Yeah.
The fact that she does come to the conclusion that her name on Earth will be Linda Lee. Who better for that to be inspired by than Robert E. Lee? General of the Confederacy.
Oh, that's right. It was based off Robert E. Lee. Oh my God, I just remembered that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. How about whenever they're playing in the sports at not recess but gym class, and you know, the bully targets Lucy, and then Linda's like, man, did you know she was trying to hit you there? And she goes, yeah, there are words.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
I went, oh, like, I was just like, oh, God. It was 1984, and I just, like, I forgot about that, and it just, boom, punched me right in the stomach. I was like, oh, no, wow. Yeah, I forgot that that's just something people used to just throw out there. That ableist-ass shit.
Yeah, man, this I have been just trying to think through the entire movie if there's another scene that's even better than her like just landing on Earth for the first time. I don't think that there is. Like, I'm trying to go with the second best option even, but I don't know. Like, is the ending even...
wager that the second best option is like the very first scene on Argon City. Like,
you know what? I'm going to go with that because I was in a better state of mind in that scene because I haven't seen
actually
the rest
kind of
of the
made
movie.
you hopeful for the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, I love this set design. I love this character Zoltar. This should be fun. Zoltar's out of the movie for an hour and 25, hour and 30 minutes. Oh, okay. That's cool. And Helen Slater obviously does set a tone. I do really, I actually do enjoy her as Supergirl, and I think she just got a bad shake with the writing the movie provided. But I would say confidently she is the most redeeming thing about this movie, along with and secondarily I would say Peter O'Toole as Zoltar. But the writing was just horrendous. Like, it's just...
Eesh. Yeah, I don't...
Like, Faye Dunaway's Selena is going to be amongst, like, the bottom of the list when we get, like, deeper and deeper into this. The worst comic book movie antagonists ever. Like, Selena's gotta be top 5 in that category.
Yeah.
I mean, so far, I can confidently say...
In Superman 3, what was that guy's name? The off-brand Lex Luthor?
Yeah, it was like Alex something.
He sucked, but he doesn't deserve to be like... He's just forgettable. This is memorably bad.
Yeah.
That stands for something else than just being like a forgettable...
Yeah, Ross Webster was the corporate asshole
he sucked.
Superman 3. Yeah, he was a terrible villain. And I will give that to Selena. At least she's memorable.
Yeah, just memorably bad. What a... Wow. I don't know. Can it get worse? Are there movies on here that are worse that I know of?
Fear so. I truly think, I do think we'll reach lower lows.
Okay.
Because there are movies on this list I straight up don't like watching. I at least had a little fun watching this.
Morbius is on here.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I've never even seen that.
What am I talking about? It's one of the great... I mean, it's like second to only Scooby-Doo.
Top 2, and it's not... I mean, it is 2. But what shit, man, you got anything else to say about this movie, or should we just roll right into a rating for this bad boy?
I think we go ahead and give her a rating. Yeah. I think I'm ready.
So, our rating system. Let's fucking do it. We got 4 categories. We've done it 4 times now for Batman 66, Superman 78, Superman 2, and Superman 3. But we're gonna try for Supergirl. We got 4 ratings out of 10, and we take the average of those ratings, and it becomes our overall rating for the movie. Our first one is enjoyment. That's completely subjective. Just however you're fucking with the movie, you put that on a scale of 1 to 10. In fact, I recently made a document for the future guests that we're gonna have on. That kind of it really dives in to the levels to the 1 through 10 on enjoyment. Just a helpful little guide for you. We got a genre rating. That's just how well it fulfills its genre, and this was action, adventure, sci-fi. And it will certainly fall somewhere on that scale from 1 to 10. Likely not high. We've got the adaptation rating, which is just how well it was adapted from the comic books that came before it. And this one, like we said earlier, not a lot of comic book basis, but a little bit. So we're gonna go with it. We're gonna go with it where we can, and we wanted that to be separate from our enjoyment and critical ratings, because there are such things as good movies with bad adaptations and bad movies with good adaptations. Those do exist, and we didn't want to be bogged down by how good of an adaptation it was. So we figured We just create a whole separate category for it. And that brings me finally to critical rating. It's all things considered filmmaking wise. The writing, the direction, the acting, the score, all things that go into filmmaking. We take the average of those 4 numbers and it becomes our ultimate rating. And yep, we got a little subjectivity in there with the enjoyment rating, but that's what gives it our flair. So let's begin with that enjoyment rating. If you turn your attention to the document, I tried to map out exactly how I feel and how I go about the 1 through 10 scale. And for that, I will present it to the audience one time only here on the Supergirl podcast. This will never we'll never go over this again. It's just for future reference. A 1 on the 1 to 10 for enjoyment is hate it. Will never watch it again. 2 is strongly dislike. May never watch it again. 3 is not for me. Can't see how others might like it. Yeah, I don't think it was good, and I don't think anyone else will think so. 4 is not for me, but I can see how others might like it. 5 is extremely middle of the road. Don't love it. Don't hate it. 6 is, yeah, that was solid. I'll probably revisit. 7 is, oh, I'm liking this. 8 is, oh, I'm liking this a lot. 9 is, I'm loving this. And 10 is, this is amongst my favorite movies of all time. I wanted to set that precedent for a 10 in enjoyment for this project. If it's a 10, this is one of your favorite movies ever. That's what you got to be confident in saying.
Supergirl is not a 10.
No. It's far from it. In fact, this is why I wanted to rehash this part of the podcast, because I looked at this and I thought maybe 4 or 5 was the ceiling. And then I was like, I think 4 is right about where I might have to lie, because it's not for me, but I can see how others might like it. I think there's enough in this movie, and I had fun watching it as I was watching it. But will I watch it again? No, probably not. How you feeling?
No. I'd say 4 is the ceiling. But I think it's also the most fair score. I don't think it drops. I don't think it's in between, not seeing how others could like it. I could see how someone can, I don't know, if I'm a little girl, growing up, I'm 8 years old and I see Supergirl. I don't know, I feel like I see the movie a little differently. So, I mean, it's
for sure. There are elements I can like. There's something likable about it. There's some charming moments.
But I think, I think 4 is fair. Man. Yeah, I don't know. It's not terrible. It's just not average.
It's below average, to be sure.
Yeah.
For the genre rating, are we coming to 4 for enjoyment though? You feel comfortable with that?
Yeah.
All right. I feel comfortable with that too. For the genre rating, again, a little bit of a scale, but this one I didn't know how to break it into 10 separate ways to describe it, because frankly, when we go off genre, it's mostly vibes. But for the 1, I have among the worst movies of its genre ever. It's got to be one of the worst ever in its attempt. 5, a 5 on that 1 to 10 scale is, it didn't quite do what it set out to do. I find that being kind of like it got some things right, it got a lot of things wrong. That's kind of what a 5 is. A 10 is, this movie knew what it was and absolutely knocked it out of the park. Knew what it was, did it perfectly, and there's no other way to go about it. This does fall somewhere between that 1 and a 5. Because I wouldn't say it's among the worst movies ever in action, adventure, sci-fi. It's not good. Certainly not good. It definitely did not do what it set out to.
No. I think ceiling here is probably a 5, but that might be too generous.
I was thinking 4. again is
It might,
probably
yeah.
the ceiling.
I think, yeah.
Because, I mean, the general rule of thumb across all these is 5 is average. I
This
think
is
I'd
not
even be willing
average.
to,
Yeah,
no,
no,
it's
this is not
it's
average.
below average, and I'd argue well below average. Like, I think a 3.75, 3.5 might be fair for this movie.
I think 3.5. Because, like, even the action, like, the only good action is, like, her saving that town, putting out the fire, and
But that comes
doing
immediately after
and
the
then
scene
it's
where she's, she's doing like, there's the bulldozer tearing through the town. Like, that's what
you're
causes
right.
her to have to
Yeah,
do
you're
that.
right.
And that's
Wow.
horrendous. Like, that's a really bad part of the movie. The
Yeah.
sci-fi elements at the beginning with Argon City are cool, but the mechanics of the Omegahedron just don't make sense. The Phantom Zone was cool, but how to get in and how to get out doesn't really make sense. So the sci-fi elements are like, they're there. They did what they tried something. They just didn't quite get there,
I think, yeah, 3.5.
3.5. All right.
Yeah. I don't know. You seem a little hesitant on it.
Because I mean, like, I'm trying my best to not compare it to Superman 3, but I can't help but compare it to Superman 3. I do think Superman 3 is generally a little bit better. Yeah, 3.5, 3.5, 3.75. I don't think I could take it up to a 4. That's what I was debating. Is like, can I take it all the way up to a 4? And I don't think I can quite get there.
But do you think it deserves the jump from a 3.5 to a 3.75?
Yeah, because I do think it falls, and I mean 3.5 does fall closer to the one than the other, but I was thinking it falls closer to didn't quite do what it set out to do than it does worst of its genre ever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
think
3.75, 3.5. I'm cool with either of those.
I think we'll go with 3.75.
All right, cool.
All
Adaptation wise, we've got one that's very, very movie original heavy. But we're coming off one that was very, very movie original heavy. Ross Webster, not a comic book villain. Gus Gorman, not a comic book character. We kind of had to base it off the merit of how they brought Superman to life. And beyond that, kind of up to you. The stuff with Lana Lang and stuff last week, like, kind of base it more off there. Like the Lucy Lane, the Linda Lee, and how do they bring Supergirl to life for you? Do you feel like they did a pretty good job at resembling the spirit of her?
Yes, but like that's the like if I'm framing it in my mind of the content that came before this came out of Supergirl, like how it actually adapted from the content before. There's not much to go off of, so it's like, yeah, I mean they took a lot of creative liberties with some of the storylines and stuff like that, but as far as the character goes, I think it's okay. As far as like Supergirl character of all time, I don't really know. Like I haven't seen the TV series, the newer one at all, or like a lot of other Supergirl stuff I haven't really even seen.
I
can't really compare.
Yeah, I would say
to
that like this does a solid job. I think it tries. I don't think it gives her enough credit intelligence wise.
Mm.
I think she's a bit smarter and at least a little bit more worldly. Like, there are some concepts that she questions in this movie that are just not that far out there. Shouldn't be super hard to pick up on. And she struggles.
Yeah.
I don't, but like we said, a lot of non-comic book elements, a non-comic book villain. It can't do great in the adaptation category. I'm thinking I'm falling somewhere around a 4.
I think that's where around I was. Is like with what they had, they did well, but like it kind of does knock it against them that they I don't know. Is it? Can you say that it negatively impacts the adaptation score if they chose to just create a bunch of shit on their own? Like, if the stuff they create on their own was good, I'd say it can't help, but it can hurt if it's bad.
Like, if you're gonna create movie original stuff, you gotta nail it, or else I'm gonna be like, well, you have other shit you could go off of.
Yeah.
How the fuck did we come to Selena the Witch? How the fuck did we come to the Omegahedron?
He beats me, man.
Hey, man, and I don't mind the Omegahedron. It's just like the mechanics of it are completely out there to understand. It's just like they don't try to explain it at all.
Yeah, I'd say around a 4 again. Yeah.
Let me read the adaptation rating because it's more similar to the genre one.
Mm-hmm.
It's only 1, 5, and 10 for the guidelines. Anything between, kind of based on vibes. 1. Wait, this movie is based on that comic character? It keeps absolutely nothing from the books, and we can't say that that's true of here. 5. Some parts felt fitting, others did not. Feel like I fall closer to that than I do 1. 10. A perfect maintaining of the spirit of the characters from comics to screen. I fall, some parts felt fitting, others did not, and a bit below that. Because more things felt not fitting than did.
So
4, 3.75, 3.5.
You're giving me too many options here. Well, if you just want to you just go with the middle, 4.75 or 3.75.
Yeah, I'm down for that. If you're down for that,
I am. Because it's just kind of the stuff they made up on their own was just
bad.
Yeah, and man, wow. Let's see, critically.
I mean, not to mention that they make Jimmy Olsen a pedophile.
Wait, what?
This man's a grown man working on the Daily Planet.
Oh my
like a 16-year-old.
God, no. That is like a high school, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh no. Wow. Didn't even put that together at all. That's cool.
It's rough.
Maybe he's nope.
Maybe adaptation deserves even more of a bump. Maybe that makes it a 3.25, 3. Because as far as I know, Jimmy Olsen, not a pedophile.
All right. 3. 3?
3.
3.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. I feel good about that.
Good.
And then critically, this is another one where we have a more 1 through 10 sort of setup for you here. I've got at 1, amongst the worst movies ever made. At 2, wow, that was terrible. 3, a truly bad movie. 4, had the bones, but couldn't get there. 5, it's all right. 6, an above average movie. 7, a good movie. 8, a really good movie. 9, a great movie. And 10, amongst the greatest movies ever made. Now, where I fall is around a 3. I don't think I can comfortably go higher than a 3.25. And I don't think I can go lower than a 2.75,
Yeah. I was around a 3. Because I mean, it's pretty bad.
It's a truly bad movie. There's no question about that.
Like,
it's just a matter of,
did it even really have the bones? It did it, with Selena, and I don't know if it did.
I don't know that it had the bones either. The fact that they take the most compelling elements of the movie, the beginning with Argon City, and then go, yep, never going to come back to that.
I guess it it had the bones, but there was no order to it whatsoever.
Skeletal
It's like
system was
it's
not
just
in order.
yeah, it's like they're just scattered everywhere in places that don't make sense. Yeah, no, it's a 3. 344. A
So a
34.
34%. We are harsher than IMDb. IMDb has this movie at a 4.4.
Rotten Tomato. Let's see. Wait, what did IMDb have it at?
4.4.
Wow. Okay. We got. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll start with the audience score because it's better at a 26%.
Ah, man.
The critical review, granted, it only comes from 36 reviews, but it is 8%.
Oof. Yeah, the 4.4 does come from over 20,000 reviews. 22,335.
The 26 comes from 25,000. So like a 2.5 out of 5 for the audience score.
More fair to assess.
But that's not a lot of critics really. Out of the top critics that to Rotten Tomatoes deems top critics, 7 of them have reviewed this movie, and they've given it a 29%.
Okay. So we're nicer than Rotten Tomatoes, worse off than IMDb. I think that might be the first time that's happened so far.
Wow.
And by like a lot in both directions.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10% meaner than IMDb and 10 to 30% harsher or nicer than Rotten Tomatoes. That's a rarity.
Oof. It took a movie like this to do it, though, you know?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I like it. I like doing it. 34%. That was a rough one. And 34%. 3.4 out of 10 for Supergirl. It's quite the film. That's quite the film. I think we might have been kinder to Spaceballs.
Let's see. Spaceballs? Where are you? There you are. We gave it a 1 out of 5 critically. So that'd be a 2, so we were nicer to Supergirl. 2.4 in enjoyment. So I mean around a 4.8. We gave this 3.75 or no, a 4? Or a 3. What did we give this in enjoyment?
A 3.75, I think.
Okay. So still nicer to Spaceballs. And then genre, we gave it a 6.2. Wait, did it tie overall? 4.33 and
it appears that the
3.44. 3.44 4.33. Okay, that guy I was tripping up there for a second.
Got you.
Yes, we were nicer to Spaceballs. Spaceballs is a 4.33.
Good example. Why
Supergirl.
you are better off if you're gonna make a bad movie, steer into that shit.
Yeah, know that you're bad. Yeah.
This movie just didn't seem to have that air to it. It felt like they were trying hard. And it was failing miserably. So a 34% for Supergirl, a 3.4 out of 10. I'm glad we're putting this one behind us. Not gonna lie. We're only headed towards greatness as our comic book journey through film continues next week with our first Marvel edition in Howard the Duck.
Let's
very, very excited.
Go.
It will be our first of many on this journey with a guest host. We are going to have a special guest next week, and for many of the weeks that follow. Very excited about that. Yeah, I'll save who the guest is next week for when you get there, because that shit's gonna be fun. But no one famous or anything special to me. But Yeah, not like, oh, we're gonna have fucking Seth Green, the voice of modern Howard the Duck on. No, like I don't want to. Oh, I'm gonna tease it. No, like I don't. No, like love the man, but yeah, not famous. But yeah, so very excited for all the guest spots coming up. We got so many great ones, and it's just going to be so much fun to continue this journey through comic book film. We're gonna push forth through February with Howard the Duck next week, Superman 4 a couple weeks after that, and then we are going to wrap up February the week after that with Batman 89.
Woo.
So February is going to be a fun month, ranging from Supergirl to Batman. So we got a lot of goodies. If you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, including a bunch of comic book pull lists, book reviews, and the like. Every modernly released comic book movie or show, we're talking about it there. We are saving it for the main show once we get to it in this project. So I think the next one due up, I know we got Across the Spider-Verse coming up later this year. Like we will not talk about that
like
one.
Black Panther.
Well, we might be able to get away with that since that technically comes out before this project starts.
Ooh, we can use that.
Yes, we can. But
I would like to talk about that.
Oh, of course. But yeah, anything that comes out in 2023, in 2024, and in 2025, we are going to hold off on until we reach it in 2025.
Damn.
Yeah, so we've got a long plan ahead of us, but we plan on riding this bad boy out.
I guess all we have left is Werewolf by Night, if we want to talk about it. That already came out a couple days ago.
I was going to save that for the project, yeah.
Black Adam coming out, which I think Dwayne T's Superman is coming in it, which is kind of cool. So we can talk about
podcast a little bit.
Yeah, we can talk about Black Adam or Black Panther.
We record a really far time in advance, listener. It's presently. I know this isn't going out till February, but it's October 12th today. The
whole world could be so different.
Who knows? Who knows? Hopefully this is getting put out.
Hopefully the internet is still up.
Hopefully that's a thing still.
Hopefully, yeah.
And what's crazy is like, I don't know. I'm only like mostly kidding when I say that. You know, like who knows? I don't fucking know. Yeah. So if that said, if we're going to talk about a comic book movie in the future for 2023, 24, or 25, where you'll find that discussion is Patreon. We're not going to just not talk about it. Okay. We're still fucking nerds. We're going to gush about it. We're just going to charge you to listen to it. That's $3 a month, patreon.com/PennyBloomPod. And then if you would head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review and come back next week for Howard the Duck. I am Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And what's a dingleberry?